Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. So this is the third video in the Spring Boot with Reactjs file upload series. In the last video we saw how to upload file from the front end using Reactjs. We created a component in which we could drag and drop files or select the files by clicking on it, and once we select a file, if it was an image file, we showed a preview on the right side. We also enabled the file upload progress feature also. So once a user uploads a file, he can see the percentage of the upload that is being done, and once it's completed, we showed a check mark, also a link to the current URL that is on the server. In this video we will extend on that, and we will create a crop image component. Using this component, if we upload a file and if that file is of a type of image, we will show a cropping selection, so the user can crop the image according to his will. So this will enable us to limit the image to a certain aspect ratio, or you can also do something like a circular crop if you want, like for example a user avatar or something, we need that circular, we can also use it for that circular crop. Let's have a look at a demo now. So when we click on that, let's select a file. Now you can see a beautiful dialog, and in that you can see the selection. So this selection actually, it's now I am giving a 16:9 aspect ratio. You can move the selection around and select a particular portion that you want. So currently I selected something, and when I click on save, I get that particular cropped image. So this is what we will get. Then when we upload, like the last video, we get the file URL, and when we click on that, we see that cropped image. So this is what we are going to achieve in this video. We will create a crop image component, and once the file is uploaded and the file type is an image, then we will show the dialog for selecting a crop, and once the crop image is selected, he can upload and that file URL will be shown. So let's proceed. So for the image crop, we are going to use a package called React Image Crop. So this is its documentation. As you can see, there is a selection box shown in the demo. So we'll install it using the React Image Crop name. Let's go and yarn add React Image Crop. So first we will create a dialog component. So for that we will add a new file called crop dialog. Let's import React. Next we will import a dialog component from material UI core/dialog. Copy it 2 more times. Then we'll add dialog actions. Also dialog title. We also need to add one more, which is the dialog content. So let's copy and make dialog content. Now let's write our function. We'll name it crop dialog. We'll use some props for the dialog. One will be the open. So this is to show and hide the dialog, and we have on close for as a handler for closing the dialog. We also need the children and on save. So this is for the action button that we use for saving or cancelling, right? So once the user press on save, we need to save the image, cropped image. So that's why this on save button is used. So let's declare the dialog component, and inside that we have the dialog title. Let's give an ID of crop dialog. The title is file crop preview. Now we'll add the dialog content. So inside this we'll use the children prop. Now we have one more thing, which is the dialog actions. So this is the cancel and save actions that we see on the dialog. So we need to import a button for this. Let's add the button component, and we will give the cancel title. So we have the on click for this, and we give on close handler so that the modal is closed when this cancel is pressed. And for color we will give primary. Let's copy that and create one more action, which will be our save action. So we give on save handler to this on click, and the title is save. Also we can give an autofocus probe to this button so that it is focused once the dialog appears. Now we need to give all the probes required for the dialog. One is the open, and we will pass the open probe to this. Another thing is on close, so we pass the on close handler to this probe. Yeah, that will do for crop dialog component. Now we will create the crop image component. We will first import React. Now we will import the React crop image from the React image crop. Let's go. We need to add some CSS also for the crop to work. So let's copy that import and paste here. Now we will import our crop dialog. We will name our component crop image, and we will take in props. Now we can return a fragment. So for the React crop image, we need to actually pass a prop called crop. So this is something we can handle using our state. So we will use react.useState for that, and we will use crop and set crop for handling the state. So the initial value to this is an object which will have a unit of percentage. So we are cropping based on a percentage. We will give a width of 50 and also a height of 50. We'll give the x 25. So this is the distance between the distance of the selection from the x direction of the real image, and y is 25. So this distance between y from the y direction. So now our crop will be crop selection will be centered. Now let's add the crop dialog component, and inside that we'll pass our React crop component. So React crop will take a prop of source. So this is the source image that is loaded in when we pick the file, and we'll handle it using a state of source. So let's declare this state source using React use state. So we'll have this source as well as set source, and the initial value is nothing. Now we'll add style to React crop. So for the style, what we'll do is we'll fix to a maximum height of 550 pixels so that it does not exceed that, and we'll also pass in the crop. So to this we'll add the crop state, and we'll also use a prop called logged. So we are using logged because otherwise the selection can be adjusted by the user in like the X and Y direction. As you can see, he can make the selection small and bigger. We do not need this. So for that, what we are going to do is we are going to use the logged property, and we have an onChange function. So in this onChange we'll get the crop ratio. So we get the crop as well as the percent crop ratio, and we'll use the percent crop for our set crop function. We also have one more event called onComplete. So this happens after we have completed our selection of the crop, and we get the cropped image from it. So what we'll do is we'll set the completed crop to the value that gets returned from the onComplete event. So this state is not yet declared, so we will go and declare this state. So for the state name we will give completed crop, and we will use a set completed crop function to set the state. It's completed crop. I will change that in our handler too, and we will use react.useState. Now we need to handle one more event, which is the onImageLoaded event. So we'll handle it using an handler called onLoad. So let's declare the onLoad function. We'll use react.useCallback for this. So we get an image from the event. Actually we need to maintain a ref for this to handle the image that is changed on the load. So we will declare a ref variable called ImageRef, and we will use React useRef for maintaining it, and we will give the useRef as null. So for the ImageRef's current value, we will pass in the image property that we received from the onLoad event. Now we will use declare an useEffect hook, which we need when a file is selected. So we will check here whether the file we received is an image using a prop called isImage. So this prop will be passed from our main component, and if the prop is an image and it's true, then we use a function called onSelectFile, and we will pass in a prop called selectedFile. So this is the file that will be selected from our main component when we drag and drop. So let's declare this onSelectFile function. So onSelectFile will have the file that is inputted from the main component. Now we will use a state called selectedFile to set the selected file that we received, so that we can handle it inside this component state. So let's set the selected file to the file we receive. Now we will declare a file reader variable. So file reader will enable us to read the contents of the file. So this will help us in setting the source of the image which we need for the React crop. So what we'll do is we'll add an event listener of load to the reader, and once all the file contents are loaded, we will set the source. So we are already managing a source state, so we will set that source to the reader's result. So this will have our content of the file. Now to the crop dialog, we can pass the prop of open to the open state that we declared just now, and on hide of the crop dialog, we can provide the set modal open to false. So this will hide our modal. So currently our useEffect function will run on every re-render because we have not provided a second variable. So what we will do is we will provide the second variable as props.isImage because we need this to invoke only when the isImage prop is changed. So once the isImage prop is changed, we will select the file using the onSelectFile function. So that will make the dialog box open, and we can do the crop selection, etc. Now once we have completed the cropping function, we need to show it as a preview, right? So actually, to make the new image, we need something called the canvas. So this is an HTML element which we can use to show the which can use to manipulate images and stuff. So for the canvas, we will provide a ref of preview canvas ref, and for the style we will give a width of 0 and height of 0 because we don't need to show the canvas. We will be showing the image inside our main component. So this is just for manipulating the image. We don't have any other use for canvas. Actually we can show the image preview in canvas itself, but as we are not depending on this component to show our preview, we are going to give the height and width of canvas to 0. Now we will declare the preview canvas ref. And we will use useRef for this as well and set it to null. Now we will use another useEffect. So this useEffect is invoked once the complete prop function is set. So we will use the completed prop to invoke this useEffect. So in this we can actually check for something if the crop is not completed, and if the preview canvas ref as well as the image ref is both its currents are not set. So if all these are not set, we will just return. Now we will declare an image variable, and we will set the image ref.current value to this variable. Similarly, we will declare another variable called canvas, and we will set the preview canvas ref's current value to it. Now we will also declare another variable called crop, and this will carry the value of completed crop. now we need to declare a scale x. So this is actually for scaling the image once it's cropped. So to this we will give the natural width of the image property, and also we'll divide it by the original width that the image is set to. And also the scale y will be similar with the natural height, and height will be divided by image's height. So this is how to scale in the x and y direction once the crop is completed. Now we'll get the context of the canvas using canvas.getContext of 2D. We'll set the canvas width to the crop's width, and also we will multiply it with a pixel ratio of 4, so that it looks good in every devices, even big or small devices. So pixel ratio will help in that. And we will have a canvas height of crop dot height into 4. So this function is actually we have taken from the React image crop library itself. So the documentation has this function. Now we will use the set transform method of the canvas to create a new canvas selection. So what we will do is we will pass in the pixel ratio for the horizontal scaling as well as the vertical scaling arguments for the set transform, so that the image will correctly fit to our pixel ratio. So now the pixel ratio is being used everywhere, so let's declare it to a constant variable. So we will declare pixel ratio variable to 4, and we will replace all the pixel ratio references we have with this new variable. So we'll set the image smoothing enabled variable to false. So as we are scaling the images, we need this image smoothing enabled to false, otherwise the image will blur out. So next we'll use the context.draw image, which is the function we will use to draw our new image to the canvas. So to this we'll pass our image, and we'll pass crop x into scale x, and crop y into scale y. So this is the origins, and now we will pass this crop's width and crop's height into scale x. So this is the height and width of the canvas. The last two arguments with crop width and height is the original image that is drawn after we crop. Now we will use a property of canvas called we will use an instance method called toBlob, and toBlob we can pass in a callback. So this will contain the blob object that is created, and what we will do is we will set a preview URL, and we will use the url.create object URL, and we will pass in the blob. So this can be used to actually show the image, show the preview image. So we cannot directly show the canvas to the image, right? So we need to convert the image to an image. That's why we are using this toBlob function. Also we will create a file from this blob, and for that we can use the file function, and we'll pass in the blob as well as the file's name. Now we need to set a state for the preview. So to blob we can pass in a second argument. We are going to convert it to an JPG image, and this second argument to our useEffect hook is a completed crop. So we are only like invoking this function once the crop is completed. Now we can set the preview inside the toBlob function. So we have created a preview URL already, so that we will set as the preview. Now we need to set the cropped file, so we will use a set cropped file function for that, and we will set the new file. So this we need to handle one more state, so let's declare it. This state will be called cropped file, and we will use the set cropped file function to set the state. Now we can pass in the onSave function in the dialog. This is the action that is called when we click on save. So what we'll do here is like we will use the props.onSave that will be passed from our main application main component, and we will to that we will set the file as well as the preview state that we are using, and also we will set the modal open to false. So once the save is clicked, we will send the file and preview to the main component, and also we will close the modal. Now we will go to our main component. We will import the crop image component that we have created. We also need a new state for setting the selected image file. So this is we use this when the file that we upload, if it's an image, we use this state to set that image file, and we'll also pass this at a prop called selected image file in our crop image. Let's use our crop image component. We'll use the onSave prop, and to the onSave prop we will pass a function called onCropSave. So this function is not initialized as yet, so we need to declare that, and we'll pass the selected file to the selected file. We'll pass the selected image file, the state that we created now. And if it's an is image, we also need to pass whether the file is an image. So actually we don't need that state actually, because we are only setting this file if it is an image. So maybe we can remove that useEffect hook which contains the props.isImageCheck. Maybe we can change that to selected file, because we are only selecting the this file if it's an image, and so if it's an image we can actually you look at the changes in that particular image and do this invoke this useEffect. So I think that is better. So once the file is selected, we will use the props.onSelect file function and use the props.selected file instead of the isImageCheck, so that we can completely avoid that. Also maybe we can avoid the onSelect file, and instead of that we will do that reader thing here itself. So instead of the selected file thing, we already have the props which contain the selected file. We don't need to again handle that state, so maybe we'll change that as well. So we have missed something, so we need to use a reader.read that as data URI, and we need to pass in the props.selected file. we have not done this so far, so that is also need to be done. Then only the file will be converted to an URI that we can show in the image. So we'll now completely remove the onSelectFile function. So our function has become little more compact now. Yeah, that will do actually. Now wherever we are using the selected file state, that we will change that to the props.selected file, as we are now using the props as everywhere. Let's remove the selected file state as well, as it is no longer needed. So let's go to the main component now, and we need to declare the onCropSave function. So let's go and declare it. So we'll get the file inside that, as well as the preview. So if you remember, from the crop image we are sending the file as well as the preview to it. Actually, like yeah, it's in the let's check. Yeah, the onSave we written for the crop dialog. So when we click on the save file, we are sending the file as well as the preview. So we'll get the file as well as the preview here. So inside the crop save function, we will set the file to set the preview to the preview that we get from the crop image, and also we will set the file to the file that we receive. So now we can show the file as well as we can show the preview. Now we need to add a check in the onDrop to check whether the file we selected is an image or not. So let's add this check here. So we'll declare a variable called file dropped, and we will pass in the accepted files of 0, which is the file that we receive once a file is dropped into the component. And wherever this accepted files of 0 is used, we will change that to the file dropped variable. Now we will check whether the file dropped variables type is so from the file drop variables type, we will split it using the slash, so that we will get that content type content as well as extension MIME type. So if the 0th element, that is the first element that we get after split, is of the name image, then it's an image file. So we will set the selected image file to file dropped. So now that change is occurring, that selected file will change, and this will cause the change inside our crop image component. So now our props.selected image inside the crop image will change, and this will invoke the dialog. So on crop save, we actually need to add the set preview URL, set success to false and set percent to false 0, because these things we are not doing in the onDrop now when it's an image file. So this is required in the onCrop save now. Let's start. Okay, we have an error of preview URL is not defined. So let's check that. We have defined the preview URL here. Let's go. Yeah, on crop save we don't need that second set preview. Now we have useref is not defined and file is not defined in crop image. Let's go to crop image, useref. Okay, we need to add the react.useref to it. So we'll add that to both the places. Now file is not defined at line 89. So file, so we need to, instead of the file, we need the cropped file. So we'll use the cropped file and we'll pass it as file. Yeah, now let's check. Now our preview is component is working. Now let's drag and drop. Yeah, we can see the selection box. Once it's selected, we get the crop, and when we upload, we see the crop image in the URL. So that our component is success now. Now if you want, you can change the crop ratios as well. Like for example, if you want to increase that, you can give a width of 80. Instead of height, you can give an aspect ratio and specify 16:9. Let's make the x and y to a smaller number. Now if we select a file, you can see now our crop selection is much bigger. So you can do all kinds of things with this crop by setting different properties. You can completely remove the x and y if you want. Then it will start from the origin. Yeah, so whatever you want, you can do. So we have come to the completion of this series. So we have seen many things in the series. We saw how to write a service, how to upload file using drag and drop and show the progress, and in this we have seen how to crop if it is an image. So I think this has become an insightful series for you. If you like, please subscribe my channel and click on the bell icon.